and welcome to Control Alt Deplete, episode 23.
Whoa!
Now coming in at 6'6". Wait, nope, that's a different number 23. Yeah, people in the Midwest will get that.
Guess it was a football thing or basketball?
Basketball, Michael Jordan.
Oh, Michael Jordan. Oh, okay. I was thinking that, but I wasn't sure. I don't really know much about basketball.
Yeah. Well, nowadays people are all LeBron James. But listen, Michael Jordan would kick LeBron James' butt. And I'm not even. Here's the thing. I say that I'm not even a Michael Jordan fan. I live in Indiana. I grew up rooting for the Pacers. We got our butts handed to us by Michael Jordan and the Bulls more times than I can count in the playoffs. And yes, I can't stand Michael Jordan. That being said, Michael Jordan's way better than LeBron James ever was.
I gotta say, I think Kobe Bryant's pretty much one of the best as well.
Oh yeah. No, I would.
He was good. He was a beast.
Yeah, no. Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant are two of the top, both of them easily in the top five. Most likely top three.
Yeah.
I would probably put Wilt Chamberlain up there as well.
Larry Bird maybe.
Yeah, Larry Bird's probably top 10. I feel like.
Allen Iverson probably top 20.
Yeah. Top 5 in sound bites. But yeah, no,
Talking about practice.
But yeah, no, I'd say Wilt Chamberlain, just because the dude was unstoppable back in his heyday. It was a different game back then, though. But no, I remember there was a thing, Michael Jordan a long time ago. I don't know how long it was. It was, like I said, it was back when I think LeBron James was with the Heat or something, and he was asked, "Oh, could the Chicago Bulls beat the Miami Heat?" And he was like, "Yeah." It's like, by how much would you beat them by? Like by a point. It's like, only a point? Yeah. Well, yeah, we're all like 50 years old now.
True. Yeah.
But it was funny because like he meant like, yeah, we could beat them right now, not like back in our prime. We could beat them right now. At 50 years old, we could still beat them.
Yeah.
But anyway, off topic enough. Back to World of Warcraft, because this is the Control Alt Deplete WoW podcast, not the NBA podcast. But anyway, I am Buck Blind, one of your hosts, and on the right side of the screen is our other host, Mr. Bioshock. So how is it going, Mr. Bio?
Going good. Yep.
Good.
Things are going good. Should get KSM signed, I think.
Yep.
Yep. So that'd be cool.
Very nice. So we'll jump right into it here. The weekly affixes are fortified, storming, and bursting, so it's a pretty easy week. Bursting doesn't come into play until 14 or higher. Just pay attention so you're not getting 20 stacks of bursting all at once and wiping the grid.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty easy week key-wise, I think. Storming's super easy to deal with. Could be a nuisance, but it's not hard. We also have, don't forget the trading post mounts. We're about halfway through the month now. Actually, we're exactly halfway through the month. Yep. We got the 3 mounts that are available. You've got some cosmetic stuff. You've got pets that are available. So make sure, get your trading tender tokens and get that. Speaking of trading, this isn't in the notes, but it just popped in my head. Probably something we should touch on a little bit. I don't know if you saw it or not, but Wowhead had data mined some visuals for visual assets for trader tokens, and it appears from this, it's not been confirmed, but it appears that Blizzard is planning on allowing people to eventually buy trader tokens with like real money. And a lot of people are really mad about it, and I don't.
It doesn't bother me.
I don't really understand it. Like, people that are mad about it, I've seen people mad about it that are the same people that were defending store-bought mounts and like, hey, don't be toxic because people are using a store-bought mount. Like, how is this any different, in my opinion? That's what I'm kind of confused by. Because it's all cosmetic. It's not player power. It's all cosmetic. It's mounts, it's transmog, and it's pets. That's all it is. So hey, if Blizzard wants to make money, I mean, like, I'm probably not going to go and buy any trader tokens, But if
I only
Blizzard,
do it if I need to get like multiple mounts. I can't get them with my tokens.
right,
I know what the mount looks like.
yeah. But like if Blizzard wants to sell that for real life money, okay, cool. Like that's more money to go towards the game, kind of.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, but I mean, if it'd be different if they were like, here, buy this money, buy the trader tokens, and you can now buy 450 item level gear with trader tokens or something. That'd be different.
yeah.
But it's all cosmetic, so like I don't know. For me, I don't care. It doesn't bother me one bit. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that. I know a lot of people are kind of a little upset about that, and I'm not really understanding why. Because again, it's weird because it's the same people who were defending the store-bought mounts back when all that was going on. I don't know if you remember that. Whenever store-bought mounts first became a thing, and people would get up in arms about it every time there's a store-bought mount, to the point where a certain streamer had his entire following slash spitting anyone using a store-bought mount, and they literally made it so you can't slash spit on people anymore because of all the harassment people were getting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It was a little weird. Anyway, moving on. I don't know. It's not creation catalyst, but the catalyst is out. I can't remember what it's called, but we have our catalyst.
It's in the exact same spot as last season.
Yeah, I think it's like an inspiration catalyst or something like that is what it's called. But yes, catalyst is out, so go turn your gear into tier if you need to. There's no quest to do. There might be a lead-in quest just to take you to it if you haven't been there already. I think most likely if you went and did the catalyst last season and did the quest line to unlock it, you probably won't get the intro quest to show you where it is.
I couldn't find the quest for me because I thought
I didn't
to unlock the quest to figure out where it's at. Like, couldn't find the quest
same.
Anywhere.
I didn't get it either. My guess is it's only for like new players that didn't do it already last season. But there's nothing you have to do for the quest. It literally is just there. Like you get the quest and it takes you to the location and then you turn in the quest. That's it.
Yeah.
It's just a guide is all it is. There's nothing you have to do to get your charge. No quests you have to complete to get the charge. You just automatically get a charge every week. So go and use it on your tier if you don't have it already. But yeah. I know you made some pieces yesterday, right?
Yeah, I got almost all my tunes have 2 set, and I have 2 tunes with 4 set.
Nice.
And my book should get 4 set today. But yeah. So I used the chaos quite a bit this week.
Nice. Yeah, I know I used it to turn some bracers into best in slot bracers, and on my demon hunter, my druid, I got my 2 set on it by using the catalyst. And I don't think I messed it with my paladin because I already have a 2 set and I don't have a 3rd, so I'm waiting to get a 3rd piece and then I'll do it. That's my recommendation. Is if using the catalyst will get you a set bonus, go ahead and do it. If using it isn't going to get you a set bonus, if you don't have tier yet, or if you don't have if you only have a 2 set and not a 3 set, don't bother using it, in my opinion, because that way, let's say you turn your chest into tier and that gives you 3 set. Well, then let's say you're in the raid and the chest drops for you and you get the chest. Cool, you already have it. So I would wait until you kind of know what your 3rd piece is. That way you can make sure you don't get a duplicate on accident. Just my personal opinion. You don't have to listen to me. Do whatever you want. That's how I would approach it. Anyway, you want to take us to the next part? Because I know you're our guru on this subject.
So I stated last podcast that AWC was starting on the 16th.
Yep.
I was wrong. It started on the 14th. Or 13th. 13th or 14th. And it's just offline games.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. So, the only way you could watch it is by watching the players that are streaming their games. There was no channel to tune into to watch all the games in there. If you wanted to watch CD play, you gotta go to his stream. If you want to watch Bean play, you gotta go to his stream. You gotta change streams to watch who's facing who.
Gotcha.
But that should be different tomorrow. I think it was the first LAN one. I don't know if it's LAN, but I mean,
it's the one that WoW's broadcasting, exactly. Okay.
Yeah, so that should be tomorrow, and it'll probably take most of the day because I think they do Europe first and then NA.
Gotcha.
That's what they've done in the past. So you're talking like looking at 10 to 12 hours of the games happening
Nice.
tomorrow. Yeah,
Yeah, my guess is that'll be broadcast on Twitch,
and
possibly
YouTube.
also YouTube.
I've seen it on YouTube.
It just depends. I don't know if they're. I don't know how that's working. I don't know if
Oh, true.
because I don't know if Twitch has. I don't think the policy has gone into effect. Although I think for partners and affiliates it has, but I don't know if WoW if the
They're
WoW
not.
page
No.
counts as either Twitch or a partner or affiliate.
Well, they don't. If it's, they only can have followers. They don't have subscriptions or
Okay, so
donations
yeah,
at
they're
all.
not in that. That also means that I also wondering like because technically WoW's got enough, Blizzard's got enough money that if they want to, they can set up, two computers and have one streaming to Twitch and one streaming to YouTube, and
Yeah.
have complete separate. Because I think the only thing I don't know exactly how the Twitch is doing their crap. It's very confusing. It doesn't make sense, but
Yeah.
anyway, most likely it'll be on Twitch and YouTube.
Um,
So yeah,
and there's a lot of people that do watch parties. So you found a
right,
lot of WoW streamers that are kind of top end, that are just content creators, will have the streams going and they'll be commenting themselves. So you'll find tons of those. You'll find with the Blizzard channel on Twitch and YouTube, you'll find all these other creators also tuning
nice,
in to give their 2 cents as well. So it'd be easy to find it. So yeah.
very nice. Mike's getting a little quiet. I don't know if you want to move it a little closer. That should be good.
Is that
Anyway,
any better?
yes, that's much better.
Okay, cool.
Then we also have the currently going on, started today. It's going to run until I believe July 11th. I want to say, I think so, July 11th or July 3rd. Wait, yeah, July 11th. You have the Welcome to Sanctuary event, part of the second part of the Diablo 4 event. This is the part that has your 50% XP bonus, 50% reputation bonus. So definitely farm some rep, level your
Yep.
alts, whatever you want to do. We'll have a speed run here in about 3 weeks, probably. And then and Bioshock's gonna race me, right? Right?
I mean, enough anything to prove I already beat you.
Sure, buddy, sure. But yes, get your leveling done, and I know I'm gonna try to farm some rep in whatever downtime I can find. But yeah, that's pretty much the news. So let's jump into some PTR tuning. Seems like it's been mainly what we've been able to cover because that's about the only news we've had for the last few weeks.
Yeah.
So one thing that they are doing, I'll cover this real quick. Primordial stones in 10.1.5 are going to be getting nerfed by, or at least the damage dealing ones are getting nerfed by 40%, because they don't want people to continue using the
424 ring.
yeah, exactly, the 424 ring. They want you to be able to use the top end rings instead of being held back to that.
Yeah.
So what they are doing is certain classes and specs that hurts quite a bit. They got a lot of their damage from that. They're gonna get buffs. So let's see. So the DKs, their ghouls now are summoned by Risen Dead now inherit 85% of the health instead of 50%. Death Coil healing increased by 75%. Blood DK is getting all damage increased by 8%. Vengeance DH is getting all damage increased by 4%. That's all. Those two are basically due to the buffs or the nerf. They're compensating for the nerf, so there's not really much of a change in their actual damage.
Right.
Druid as a class, Rebirth now costs 2% of base mana where it used to be 0.
That's fine.
The cost is unchanged for Guardian Druids that are in bear form. If you want to go over the balance and feral changes, since you know those.
Sure.
All right.
Balance just got this mana regeneration reduced, so it's now 100%. Was 150.
Yep.
So that's the only change there. Feral, same deal with their mana regeneration as well. They increased Ferocious Bite by 5%. Dire Fixation, which is the shred that gives you the 5% damage buff, is now 8%. So that makes it for the ring, I guess. So now you use Shred with the Dire Fixation. You'll have 8% increased damage to that one fixated target.
Yep.
Primal Claws is the one that Dire Fixation is going to take over. It's in the second row at the very top. It'll be right in the middle, and it's the Primal Claws was like, I think, gives you extra combo points. I think, I don't remember. No one uses it though, so that'd be nice to get that out of there because it's garbage. Dire Fixation is a one rank talent, whereas Primal Claws was 2, I believe. So I think I'm always a fan of them making talents one node, like one rank, so you're not wasting like tons of points getting like rank 2 of stuff or rank 3 even. So I will get to it, but the Evoker is very much like that in the next little bit. This next patch is like they're getting rid of a lot of these 2 rank talents, making them 1 rank. So I think it's really good for the game.
I agree.
Yeah, you want to take us through Guardian Resto?
Yep. So for Guardian Druid, hi there, Tetherian. Say hi to the podcast world, and now go over there and do something else instead of climb on my desk. So Guardian Druid is getting all ability damage increased by 6%. Again, that's just mainly making up for the Onyx Amulet.
Did Guardians use the Onyx Amulet?
I don't know that like top players were using it, but I know it was good for them because any melee class, it's going to be a decent benefit. I'm not sure that it was actually being actively used. Let me check here and see. Guardian Druid, out of the top 50 in Raider IO, 34 are using it. So yes, it is being used. It is the best in slot ring.
Okay.
So yeah, so that's probably gonna hurt a little bit, even with the 6% increase. Yeah, I might make up for it. We'll see. Resto Druid, all ability damage is increased by 25%. Now, one of the notes they said is you're going to be buffing some healer damage. And because of this, it's going to increase healer DPS. It's not necessarily compensating, but they said they felt there's room for healer damage to increase anyway. So, yeah, Resto Druid, all ability damage increased by 25%. What are you doing? I said get down. Alright, and then they also fixed a little bug issue that causes Life Bloom to cost more mana than intended when using the Undergrowth talent. Now, I've been getting into Resto Druid a little bit, so I'm kind of understanding what some of that stuff is at this point, which is nice. Anyway, the next topic on the PTR notes is Evoker. I'm going to go ahead and handle Evoker real quick. It's terrible. It's awful. Don't worry about it. The changes don't matter. Now, we're going to let our resident expert on Evoker take it away, Bio.
Okay, so in this week's PTR, they wanted to state that in order to specialization, that the order of specializations has changed in the talent pit. This will be reverted on the next PTR. Reverted? What do you mean by okay, I don't understand that, but I'll move on to the talents anyways. So, Source of Magic.
Hang on. I know what that is. All they're saying is, like, at the bottom on your, like, so, like, when you're choosing between specs, the little tabs at the bottom, that's all that is saying.
Oh, okay. Okay, I see. Cool. Yeah, so this first talent was a new talent, Source of Magic. I think, if I remember correctly, you put on a healer and it would give them mana and use empowered abilities. But now it's changing, so when you put it on, increase the target's healing and damage done by 3%. Which 3% damage is nice. Let's throw that on like a priest. Like if I play my Evokers, throw it on Shadow Priest or something. Like the healing is good too. Like I guess it just depends on like if the healer needs it or not, because like it does healing and damage. So I don't know. I think it's just good in general. Potent Mana, the one that we just talked about, the damage one, healing, is now located in the Regenerative Magic's previous position in row 8 beneath Source of Magic.
Yep. It is right in the middle of the third to last row.
Yeah.
I've got the talent calculator pulled up over here. So.
Okay.
So in case we need to look up anything.
Yeah, for sure. Regenerative Magic has been redesigned. Now increase your leads by 3%. I don't really care much for that. Regenerative Magic has been moved to row 6 beneath Instinctive Arcana. And this is where I was talking about with them getting rid of the 2 rank and making them to 1 rank.
Right.
You got Draconic Legacy has been reduced to 1 rank, was 2. 1 rank value is equal to the previous 2 rank talent, so 6% for 1 point as opposed to 3 than 6 for the 2 points.
Nice.
So that's just more points to spend, which is cool.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, Draconic Legacy positions and swap with Inherent Resistance. Not sure what exactly. What's Inherent Resistance?
Inherent Resistance. Position of swap. Okay, so Draconic Legacy is now in the very middle, like smack in the middle. So like the middle section where like you have your you have like each talent tree has the first tier, then the second tier, and then the third tier. It's literally in the middle row, in the middle spot of that second tier.
Right.
And then what was the other talent? Inherent Resistance.
Yes.
That is just to the left. So they just flip-flop like left and right, basically.
Oh, okay.
Inherent Resistance just reduced the magic damage that you take by 2%. And it had 2 points that you could spend in it.
I got another question for you to look up since it's already looking. What is Blast Furnace?
Blast Furnace.
It was reduced to 1 rank, was 2.
So Blast Furnace it's in that middle tier, bottom left of it. Blast Furnace, Fire Breath's damage over time lasts 4 seconds longer.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember that now. So it's just made it a 1 rank talent instead of 2, which is cool.
Awesome.
So Augmentation, just 2 things. Spatial Paradox, which if you don't know, is when you put on a healer, it increases their range by 40 yards for healing, so they can, for like a pally, they can use that. They don't have to get melee. But it's not permanent, obviously. It's a cooldown.
Yeah, 2-minute cooldown lasts for 10 seconds.
Yes, so I think it's really, really cool because like
that definitely is useful for raid.
Yes, yeah. So you can use it on like a Preservation Evoker or like Holy Pally, or to anyone that needs to reach really far. You know, like I'm thinking like fights like the last boss at Oldemon when he's getting kited around, and your healer can't quite heal people because he's getting cut off. You just throw it on him. You can heal with like a 80 yard range or whatever it would be.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So it's certain fights that would be really nice. The mana regeneration was reduced a little bit, which is I think it's still fine. Like,
yeah,
you never have mana issues as a DPS. Only when you're healing spells is a DPS. So you use up your mana.
Well, and so I think one thing they also did a while back, a few weeks ago, is they increased the mana regen by 150% for everything. I think they're just kind of dropping that down a little. It's like, and it's not that it's still more than it was, but I think they just decided they went too far. Now they're kind of bringing it back to more what they're looking for.
Yeah. Preservation's got 2 things. Just their spell and ability damage increased by 10%, not active in PvP. Because I was watching some, not to get off topic, I was watching some AWC, and C2 was playing his Preservation Evoker, and when he didn't need to heal, he's pumping big damage. So that if you get that 10% applied to PvP, they'd be broken because they already do a lot of damage as a healer. But for PvE, still it's a good change.
Gotcha.
Life Giver Flame that heals for 35 to 70% of damage done was 40 to 80, so a slight nerf. What do we got going on? Okay.
Mage.
Yeah. There's a new talent on the very bottom right of the talent tree in the class specialization called Mass Barrier, and it's a 2-minute cooldown. So when you pop your like Icy Barrier or whatever, everyone in the certain radius, like 40 yards, gets that shield as well.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's 2-minute cooldown, but I mean it's not bad. Like, it's like I think fully geared, it's like around 100k shield. So.
Oh yeah, well I know it's a big absorb shield, but if it's like especially in a Mythic Plus situation, that's excellent because you can put it on the whole party.
Yeah, which is really cool. I think it's a good change.
Yep, and it sounds like it was having issues where it was casting on pets. and that's not
Yeah,
ideal.
yeah, you don't want to you don't want to shield beds really,
I don't
unless it.
I don't
Yeah,
need
go on.
Mr. McMuffin bites a lot to have a barrier shield.
Yeah. A couple of changes for Frost is they fixed an issue with thermal void extending ice lance water elemental longer than intended. That just goes with like, so there's icy veins and it's now a 2-minute cooldown. Thermal void increased it from 20 second duration to 25, plus using crits extends it by 0.5 seconds. You can keep it up, probably around 40 seconds, but I think they're trying to lower that so it's not up for that long.
Right.
They fixed an issue with thermal void's glacial spike not extending water elemental. I'm a little confused about. I didn't know you could extend. Oh no, that makes sense. Sorry, yeah. If you can extend your icy veins, it means you extend your water elemental too.
Yep.
Because they're out for the whole duration. Yeah, that makes sense. The extension with glacial spike, instead of being 1.5 seconds, is now 1 second. And cold as snap. Remember how I tell you the cone of cold resets the cooldown in Comet, Storm, and Frozen Orb and all that stuff?
Mm-hmm.
The cold as snap no longer resets Blizzard, so you can't double Blizzard, which is not a huge deal. So I don't think it's that big of a deal, to be honest. Cone of Cold's cooldown while Cold as Snap is talented can no longer be reduced or reset by time manipulation, shifting power, or Cold Snap. So I'm guessing you can't. What they're saying by that is you can't use Augmentation Evoker and use that time skip to reset Cone of Cold. I don't think it'll work. I think it's kind of what they're saying. Kind of seeing time manipulation. I know shifting power and cold snap are still in the game for mages. Shifting power just reduces cooldown, so it's not going to work for Cone of Cold. Cold snap will also not work for Cone of Cold. Neither will time skip from augmentation, which is okay.
It makes sense because
yeah,
otherwise you could Blizzard or not Blizzard. You could Frozen Orb, Cone of Cold,
Comet.
Frozen Orb. Yeah, you could use Comet Storm too, like Frozen Orb, Comet Storm, Cone of Cold, Frozen Orb, Comet Storm, Cold Snap, Frozen Orb, Comet Storm, Cone of Cold,
yeah,
Frozen Orb, Comet Storm. Like, yeah, no, I get that. That would be a little overpowered. You have 3 or 4 Frozen Orbs out at once.
Yeah,
and yeah, that makes sense.
It was a little bit
to me.
much. Yeah,
that makes sense.
The Mastery Icicles now increases Ebb and Bolt damage, as before it did not. It increases Ray of Frost, Ice Lance, Frostbolt, Blizzard. It used to increase Frozen Orb, but not anymore, I don't think.
It does. So, it just it has different scaling on it, is what they did.
Oh, does it? Oh, I do see Frozen Orb. Yeah, it used to be 20 or 25. Now it's 50. It reduced the damage by 15%.
Well, it just says that the mastery scaling for Frozen Orb, Blizzard, and Comet Storm is now separate from the single target spells.
Okay.
So it sounds like probably the AoE stuff was getting too much of a benefit and was too strong.
Right. Yes, so they did reduce the damage of Frozen Orb by 15%. Glacial Spike cast time has been increased by 0.25, and damage reduced by 20%. Because I think it was hitting, I think I saw people hitting like 600k or something.
Ooh.
With a Glacial Spike. I don't know if it was that high. It was like, I definitely saw like a 300k plus. Yeah, so the damage is probably justified, and its cast time was 2.5, and they made it 2 seconds. Now they're making it 2.25.
That makes sense.
So yeah, it was casted a little bit quick for how hard it hits.
I'm assuming your haste reduces that cast time as well.
Yes.
Okay.
And with the new haste, the new haste talent, you have tons of haste. It's kind of crazy. Freezing winds now grants Fingers of Frost every 3 seconds was 2. That was when you use Frozen Orb, you get Ice Lance procs, you just proc for as long as the orb is out. So you just keep spamming your Ice Lance. So just make it so like it doesn't proc every 2 seconds, every 3 seconds, you know. Oh, my nose itchy. Fix an issue with freezing winds not properly stated in the player's multiple Frozen Orbs are cast. Ray of Frost damage has been increased by 15%. Lonely Winter got a nerf. The damage of Frostbolt, Ice Lance, and Flurry is damage increased by 15%. Was 25, so it's a 10% nerf. Slick Ice opposition retreat, Thermal Void. The Thermal Void opposition retreat within the tree within Slick Ice. I'm not reading that right. Chiropathy damage reduced. Split Ray Frost damage 20%. Oh, okay. Glacial Assault now increases damage of enemies you take by 6%. Was 2. That's an increase. Oh, it doesn't stack though. Just kind of move along. Icy Veins, Water Elemental, no longer increases the damage enemies you take from you, and you said increases the frost damage you deal. So they're nerfing the Water Elemental a little bit, because I was seeing some people testing Frost AoE Burst on the PTR, and it was like, the burst was insane. Like, the AoE Burst was insane. So I think getting the damage away from the Water Elemental, so it's just, is probably good. The nerf was coming for sure, everyone knew it was.
Right.
Frigid Exposure, Icy Veins, Frigid Exposure, renamed to Frigid Empowerment. Frigid Empowerment increases the frost damage you deal by 3% up to 15. So there's just some frost changes. Most of it's tuning because they are pumping right now. They do a lot of damage. So yeah, I think it's through Monk.
Yeah. So with some Brewmaster changes, I think you and I talked about this a little bit. There's a new talent, Press the Advantage. Your auto attacks reduce the cooldown on your brews by 0.5 seconds and block your target's chi, dealing additional nature damage and causing them to take 1% increased damage from your abilities for 10 seconds. Upon reaching 10 stacks, your next cast of Rising Sun Kick or Keg Smash consumes all stacks to strike again at 100% effectiveness, so you get a double hit on those. The bonus attack and trigger effects on behalf of Tiger Palm, and this talent replaces Tiger Palm, which is nice because Tiger Palm, especially in Mythic Plus, like it's not something you use unless it's single target, but it also, you're supposed to use it defensively to reduce your cooldowns on your brews, which also like is necessary because we're defensively pretty weak. And however, like using Tiger Palm over spinning Crane Kick is a massive DPS loss as well. So you really are hurt by that. So this kind of replaces that and makes it your auto attacks do what Tiger Palm was doing, which is way better. This should help a little bit defensively. Not amazing, but a little bit.
Dude, I know you're talking about you get to it, but damn those damage buffs to Brewmaster, man. Woo!
Yep. Can you do me a quick favor? And I think it's your headphones. I'm hearing myself in your mic. I don't know if you just want to turn your headphones down a little bit. There, if that sounds better right there.
I've never had this issue before.
I know I've had the issue on my end where you were coming up in my mic because I had my headphones up too loud. I'm not sure why it's. I don't normally hear it on yours, which is why I was confused. Yeah, maybe turn it down just a little bit more. I think I'm still hearing it. I think. But
still,
I think it's good now. I'm not sure. Let me see. Yeah, it's good now. I think we're good.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, let's see. So then, all ability damage has been increased by 7%, which is nice. That's also primarily a change to compensate for the Onyx Amulet as well. But yes, Rising Sun Kick and Blackout Kick damage increased by 20%. That's pretty nice. And then Tiger Palm and Invoke Nuzao the Black Ox damage increased by 50%. So the Tiger Palm one, honestly, who cares, because it's Press the Advantage ability, Mythic Plus. We're probably going to be using that. Tiger Palm is going to be, the increase to that will be nice for like single target for raids and stuff, because that'll increase single target damage. Unless you're using auto attack. But Yeah, having that Nizal the Black Ox damage increase, that's kind of nice because that's a pretty decent cooldown for Mythic Plus. He just basically comes out and pumps a bunch of AoE damage. So having that damage increase will be a nice buff. Mistweaver Monk. All spell and ability damage increased by 10%. Does not apply to PvP. Again, compensating for the Onyx Amulet. Excuse me, compensating for the Onyx Amulet.
Yeah.
Ancient Teaching now heals for 135% of damage done. It was 150, so that's a little bit of a nerf.
Yeah, so that talent is their melee tree, basically.
Gotcha.
Ancient Teachings revolves on healing off doing melee damage.
Gotcha. Now, so one of the things I noticed in that video that you sent me yesterday about all the different roles and stuff and where they're sitting at for Mythic Plus was Mistweaver Monk actually has the highest DPS output of all the healers.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
And it sounds like Mistweaver is actually a very, very strong healer. It's just not a popular one. And I think part of that is the play style is not great. Yeah, it's not a great play style. Anyway, Font of Life now increases Essence Font's initial heal by 25%, where it was a static amount. So now that's a little bit of a buff there, I think. And then Windwalker, all ability damage increased by 2% for Windwalker. Do I have what now?
Do you have the stream paused?
I do not.
Oh, it was not showing up on Discord. It is now though.
Okay, I'm not sure.
Yeah, no worries. It's all good now.
Oh, I know why. It's because I minimized it. When I minimize it, it pauses it in Discord. It doesn't pause the actual recording; it just pauses it in Discord.
Okay.
And then Paladin, we got some Holy Paladin changes because they're going through the reworks. A lot of stuff in there. Commanding Light.
A lot of changes.
Yeah, a lot of changes. Commanding Light increases the transfer of Beacon of Light by 10%. Was 20, so that's a nerf. Looks like these are some rolling back some of the buffs they had. Glimmer of Light damage has been nerfed.
They kind of overshoot the remakes of the classes recently. So
yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. This is the time to do that. Is in PTR, not in live.
So. Yeah, like they did with Rat Pally. Rat Pally came to live OP.
Holy Shock healing is nerfed by about 5%. Fading Light now forms an absorb shield based off 10% of the damage or healing dealt instead of 20. Veneration now heals for 180% of damage done. Was 250. Avenging Crusader now activates for 8 seconds through Awakening. Shield of the Righteous now reduces the cooldown of Crusader Strike by 1.5 seconds instead of 2. Daybreak has a new animation. Awakening can now only trigger in combat. Awakening stacking buff duration increased to 1 minute. It was 30 seconds. So that sounds like a buff there, actually. Fix an issue that prevented Judgment from functioning with Fading Light. Fix an issue that caused Holy Shocks from Rising Sunlight to not cast if the target was over 40 yards away after the initial Holy Shock. All spell and ability damage increased by 10%. That is most likely compensating for the Amulet. Avenging Crusader now heals for 360% instead of 400% of damage done. Intercession now costs 2% of base mana. That's their battle res, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
Then Overflowing Light absorb duration is now 8 seconds, where it was 6 seconds.
Yeah.
So now we go to Prot Pally. Word of Glory now costs 10% of base mana. Big whoop. Honestly, don't even care. Mana isn't something that is an issue for Prot Pallies. Mana regeneration increased by 100% instead of 150%. So that's normal. All ability damage increased by 4%. But again, that's compensating for the Onyx Amulet. Ret Pally, you want to take us through that since you've been playing Ret lately?
Sure. Intercession, battle res is the same as the other specs. Is 2% of base mana. Word of Glory now costs 10% of base mana. Mana regen has been reduced by 50%. Hammer of Wrath generates holy power when cast on immune targets. So you guys don't have to worry about like throwing a Hammer of Wrath and not getting your holy power. The fix the tooltip errors for jurisdiction. Not sure exactly what that is. Fix a tooltip issue with Crusade when applied by Instrument of Retribution, and all damage increased by 2%. So I don't think I don't know how much power is used the Onyx Amulet. Probably a decent amount because a lot of melee do, but 2% compared to other classes what they're getting seems kind of low. But that being said, Red Pie is really strong right now.
Yeah, and it also is possible that the Onyx Amulet is used by 26 of the top 50 Ret Pallies. so it
Yeah.
definitely is pumping some damage for them. But yeah, it may be that also they've got other buffs planned, or perhaps it's just that they don't. Maybe this is honestly they're trying to nerf Rep Pally slightly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Discipline Priest. All spell and ability damage increased by 10%. Does not apply to PvP. That's also, again, compensating for Onyx Amulet. Atonement now deals 36% of all damage. It was 40. That's a slight nerf there. Holy Pally. Holy Priest, all spell and ability damage increased by 10%. Not a huge deal. Again, just compensating for the amulet. I'll let you take over for Shaman. I know, because you've been playing both Ellie and well, more Ellie than Enhance, honestly. But yeah, you
Yep.
go over
Sorry,
the Shaman.
Yeah, so I'm gonna throw you managing it. Hold on, I got a terrible taste in my mouth. Gross.
Get a drink of that disgusting water.
Oh, I took a pill for my heartburn,
Yeah.
and it like sits in my throat and has a terrible taste. Oh, anyways.
Yummy.
So I'm gonna briefly touch on this developer's note. We want to encourage players to replace their Dragonflight Season 1 set with the new Season 2 set. And lowering the haste value from the Season 1 set, the new 2 set has introduced some interactions with chain lightning where the spell might be used even on single target encounters. That was, so for the 4 set for Enhance, when you use Sundering, you get the damage increase. It increases your lightning or chain lightning damage by 100%. So people, even on a single target, were using it and hit for like 200k single target hits with this chain lightning.
Right.
So it's quite strong.
Nice.
Yeah. So they're nerfing that. We'll get into it, but they're nerfing it by quite a bit.
Gotcha.
Chain lightning spells only used when fighting multiple enemies. We are increasing the damage to your core melee attacks, which will boost your damage up to compensate for the tier set value adjustments, and make your damage profiles less reliant on Dragonflight set bonuses. The combination of all these changes should increase your single target damage slightly, while keeping AoE damage roughly the same. So the damage increases. You have Storm Strike and Wind Strike, which is the same ability depending if you're at Ascendance or not. Damage increased by 20%, not PvP though. Lava Blast damage increased by 20%, not PvP. Ice Strike damage increased by 20%. And then the tier set changes is the Vault that you card in this 4 set now grants 0.5% haste. Was 1%. Abyss 4 set is readjusted. Next 2 chain lightnings cast that deal 20% increased damage was 100%. So that's quite a big nerf. Yeah. What do you think?
I mean, obviously, yeah. So your next 2 chain lightnings, it's an 80% nerf right there. That's pretty big nerf.
That's a big nerf, yeah.
But I also know that, especially in Raid, I've been seeing a lot of heavy damage from enhanced shamans. I don't know if they needed that nerf when it comes to Mythic Plus.
What, that chain lightning nerf?
Yeah,
I think it's really a nerf. They should have nerfed from 100 to 75 or something. Because go from 100 to 20 is a little harsh.
Yeah, I feel like that's really rough for a 4 set bonus. I mean,
yeah.
The 4 set bonus should do a lot of damage.
Yep.
I mean, my damage is increased by about 20k DPS from my 4 set bonus on my Vintage Demon Hunter.
Yep.
Like, and now that's obviously it is a pretty strong 4 set, but still, like, yeah, it seems a little bit rough.
Yeah. And then just mana regeneration was tuned a little bit like every other melee or hybrid. Resto Shaman healing spell and ability damage increased by 10%. So that's normal Warlock Nightmares with redesigned, and now increase the amount of damage required to break your fear by faster than 60%. That's whatever. The one that a lot of Warlocks look into cosmetic wise is the fact you can you go to the barbershop and you can change the appearance of your demons now. And some of them look pretty cool, I have to say. Yes, yeah. Then Warrior, I don't know if you wanna. It's just the ability damage increased by 6%, and that's about it.
Yep.
There's PvP changes, but I'm not really significant enough.
Yeah. One thing that I don't know how much Siege of Orgrimmar you're running, but you can now skip directly to the Inner Sanctum on all characters in your account if you have defeated Garrosh Hellscream in Siege of Orgrimmar. You can
Inner Sanctum, what's that?
It's just skipping a large part of the raid. So if you're trying to just get the mount and the shoulders from Garrosh Hellscream.
Oh, you can skip right to Garrosh?
The shortcut implemented says that we hope this shortcut implemented here will allow players who've experienced this part of the story before to skip directly to the final showdown for a chance at earning those unique collectibles. So yes, looks like you can just go straight to Garrosh if you've already killed him.
It's dope.
Yeah, so that's great for transmog runs and mount farming.
Yeah. I've been wanting to run Siege of Orgrimmar, but I don't want to run. It's a long raid.
Yes. So yeah, it says you can skip by reading the scroll hanging on the wall near Lower Master Cho at the entrance.
Okay.
They also adjusted some boss health in classic dungeons during Chromie time. Says that health values for some classic dungeon bosses were not scaling correctly in Chromie time, and this change brings Chromie time and the present timeline into better alignment. And again, that skip for the Siege of Orgrimmar, that is going to be for the next patch, not this one.
Yeah,
just as a heads up.
Yeah.
And it says they've updated some legacy raids to drop bind on equip items more often when running them solo. So they said we found that some legacy raids had a very low BOE drop rate, so this change is to make farming those transmog items easier.
Yes, because there's certain items like from Tomb of Sargeras, where a lot of core pieces like the belt or the pants or whatever is like a BOE, and to finish your set you want to get it. So you go to the auction house, and people are charging 200, 300k for these belts, so
right.
Yeah.
Alright, so yes, that is pretty much it for the PTR tuning.
Yeah.
There's not really any tuning going on live right now, which is...
Nope.
I got used in the first season to have tuning and changes and nerfs and buffs almost every single week to the dungeons, and it's one of the things I think has made this season a bit better than the first season is I think the dungeons are more finely tuned, and we don't have a bunch of easy dungeons or a bunch of overly hard dungeons. I think they're pretty well tuned. Perhaps the only complaint would be Avalanche and Neltharion Slayer.
Yeah.
But anyway, I know you're excited to probably discuss this a little bit. But we had...
I've been able to see the whole thing, but yeah, continue.
Preheat had a Q&A with Graham Berger on Augmentation Evoker.
The senior game designer for a lot of classes, I think, especially Evokers.
Yep. So these are some highlights that Wowhead had. So you can always check on the Wowhead article and watch the full video yourself. But anyway,
yes, it's not too long. It's only an hour. It's only an hour. It's 34 minutes long, so it's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. But yeah, so some notes on like the evolution of Evoker. They had always wanted to add on to Evokers and tell more of their story, especially through Emberthal's story. They also wanted to push more on the Black Dragonfly because they didn't really do too much of that when it comes to Evoker.
Yeah, because like Preservation's green and bronze, whatever, and then Devastation's fire and blue and stuff. So, yeah, there's not a whole lot of Black Dragon magic used yet.
Right. Let's see. So yeah, they said one of the things, not doing it at the launch, gave them the opportunity to kind of test it out more and see kind of how Evoker played to begin with, but also they just wanted to be confident that augmentation is going to work properly before they rolled it out. And I've said it many times, I am all for pushing stuff off to make sure that it works properly. I would much rather have a delayed game that works properly than have a rushed game that's broken.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I don't understand. People get mad when games get delayed, and I take that as a good sign. But why is it a DPS role? They said they wanted to make sure they could fulfill the promise of buffing your allies and increasing their damage, without disrupting the dynamic of dungeons and raids. As a damage dealer, we could go wild with the tuning and let players apply impactful buffs without just nodding to it. I don't feel like that really answers the question, but
Yeah.
this is the part that I find interesting. Potential for more support specs. It said we're always looking for opportunities to add more to the game, but it has to be the right moment. Dragonflight and Returning to the Dragon Isles presented that moment. They're interested to see the community's reaction to augmentation first, and if there's support for more of this playstyle, it's something we'll discuss. So
That's
it's
awesome.
kind of like you and I. Whenever they first announced augmentation, what we were discussing, like what could if, like one, we figured they're going to have just this, and then we're going to see how it rolls out, how it plays, how much people like it. If it was well liked, if it was hated, we'll see. But then we'll have more. I think we'll have a lot of other roles that potentially could be turned into that or added to be that support role. The combat log, the hooks and performance. They want to make sure that players have the tools to improve. Up front, we have quick things like ebb and might bar on the UI to give some simple feedback to the player. Combat log hooks are in progress, but they're a massive undertaking and it's very new for WoW. So that's where making it show up correctly as your damage, even though it's other people's damage. And they said they have several that are already working and are being attributed to the augmentation evoker. Many more are coming, and you'll be seeing more of that in the upcoming weeks.
Oh, cool. More than this week.
Yep. They say they're looking to have the bulk of those out with 10.1.5, but there's going to be room for improvement beyond that as well.
Right.
As far as PvP, there's no additional rules on dungeon or PvP queuing for augmentation, which I feel like maybe they should have a rule as far as like if you're just queuing up in like Dungeon Finder or Raid Finder or PvP. Well, maybe not Raid Finder, but like if you're queuing up PvP or Dungeon Finder, maybe there should be some kind of rule set there that doesn't allow you to have more than one augmentation in the group.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that could maybe struggle there if you have multiple augmentation evokers as a DPS in a dungeon.
Yeah, that'd be kind of weird.
Although, well, it says right here, the current balance of personal damage versus buffing is still being iterated on, but the plan is that having two augmentation evokers queued in the same dungeon should still be successful.
Okay.
Now, it says if you're doing a plus 20, then having multiple augmentation evokers won't be as successful. Similar to bringing the same as any spec in WoW. Augmentation's share of damage to buffing will likely be shifted very significantly in PvP because the gameplay is just so different. So that's interesting to see how they adjust it for PvP.
Yeah.
On utility and defenses, approachability is huge for augmentation. Part of that's making it more survivable because they need to be alive. But they still need allies to be successful. Group utility, essential to this new role to make it appealing. Defensives, they'll keep an eye out for tuning, but overall they're happy with the package. We consider making adjustments if groups run no healer with augmentation. I don't see groups going no healer with augmentation.
I don't either, to be honest.
But it says larger investment to pick up more of the healing in the talent tree.
They have like two talents in their whole spec that actually revolves around healing.
Right.
That's very mediocre healing. It's just an Emerald Blossom.
Yeah, and if you want to take us through the rest of the stuff, I assume you got the article pulled up.
Yeah, so what part do you got? Personal damage versus buffs?
Competition with devastation. That's the next one.
Okay, yeah. Balance will be a large part of this, obviously. Have the tools to make adjustments, especially for differences in dungeon and raid. It's a concern, but we'll continue to monitor and be vigilant. It's also a factor of what allies you're buffing for augmentation. Yeah, so I think personally, even if they get all the details and the damage logs working,
right,
I still think that you're gonna see devastation above augmentation. I personally think that's gonna be the case.
Yeah,
I don't think there's much competition.
I feel like the logs, simply because Eben might, like, I don't know how in PTR, they're saying there's some kind of an Ebon Might bar, but Ebon Might is just like what, haste or
It's versatility by about
versatility.
10%.
So like
I'm pretty sure
that's hard to gauge that in combat logs. When you're just
Yeah.
providing the stat increase, it's hard to gauge like how much damage you're actually increasing there.
Yeah.
So something like Ebon Might, I find it hard as far as how they're going to hook that into the combat logs.
Yeah.
And have that show up in your DPS. So I feel
Yeah.
like augmentation is always going to be lower on the DPS charts than most of the other DPS classes.
As it should, I think, because like, yeah, you're buffing your teammates more than yourself.
Yeah. Well, and again,
So you're getting some damage that they're doing put into yours, but you can't account for the Breath of Eon's damage. You can't account for the damage increase from like source of magic stuff.
Breath of the Eons, that's the one where everyone gets like increased. Was it everyone gets increased critical strike, and then
no, so it's just like for like 11 seconds, it stacks up to 20% of all the damage you deal, and then explodes and permanent guaranteed crit afterwards.
Okay, so like that you could get to show up on combat logs pretty easily. I feel like because it's just calculating 20% of everyone else's damage.
Right.
And then whatever damage that does would show up as your damage under that ability.
Yeah.
So I think that part's easy. And then I know like the shield one for the tank, that would be easy to make that show up because that's purely that ability doing damage. I think the stuff that's hard to show up is stuff like a stat buff, where it's just, hey, 4 people now have 10% increased versatility. How do you quantify that into a combat log?
Right.
But I think they have a lot of certain abilities that like basically just make other people do damage based off that ability. Like I said, like the tank buff, that one's pretty easy to have show up in there. The Breath of Eon should be pretty easy to have show up in there. It's just stuff that like, it's just like lust. Like when you lust, when a mage lusts for a group, everybody gets 30% increased haste.
Yeah.
You can't quantify how much damage that actually added. You know it adds a ton of damage, but there's no way to quantify that into the logs. Continue. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. So personal damage versus buffs, having the majority of your benefit, but be based on your allies' performance, and your buffs on them is the target for augmentation. Support in the name and reality. 20% personal damage sounds lower than they prefer. Still want players to be successful outdoors. That's a concern of mine. Was that, well, how are you gonna quest if you're kind of weak, you know?
Kind of like
so saying here, yeah. So they're saying still want players to be successful outdoors and automatically buff players around you if they're not partying as part of that. So that's kind of cool. You just like fight along with somebody. You guys aren't grouped up, or you kill the group of ads that you can share.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely good.
Yeah. Having more straightforward, simple rotation is intentional. Picking allies to buff, positioning, and cooldown management are meant to be the depth of the class.
I like that because I don't think with the play style, I don't think you want a complex rotation. I do agree when it's a support class, it should be more about are you buffing the right people at the right time.
Right. Part of the approachability is making the gap between the ceiling and the floor not as wide. There's definitely some mastery involved that will improve performance, but you can just focus on Ebon Might uptime. You'll still be contributing fairly significantly. Wanted to avoid micromanaging groups in raid for augmentation evoker. Most things end up being auto-targeted, or proximity is the solution. Ebon Might prefers targets with prescience. Is that the word?
Prescience.
Prescience. There's an optimal number for augmentation evokers that are targeted for a raid. Augmentation shouldn't be necessary, and should be a choice at most. You can run 1 for every 4 DPS. You're trying to min-max on augmentation, but it's not something they expect. That was something that me and you talked about. We thought that like, well, if it depends on how well they do and how much buffing. It's like, well, why don't you just get them augmentation for each group? If you're running Mythic, run 4 augmentations, you know?
Right, right.
But so they're saying this is like they're trying to sound like you don't need that to something like they don't think it's needed.
Well, and I
Which is
agree that it shouldn't be something that
it's
they are tuning
yeah
around. But I do think like you're going to see a minimum of 2 augmentation evokers for every raid. I think you're
yeah
going to see 2 augmentations every raid,
yep
potentially 3, depending on the size of the raid. One of the
yeah
things that I mentioned in that part that you're talking about there is kind of touches back on what you had talked about either last podcast or the one before that, where they're talking about having a more or part of the approachability is making the gap between the ceiling and floor not as wide. One of the things I think you mentioned, which sounds like exactly what you're doing, is that it's a class and a role where everybody should be able to is going to be able to play it and do decent on it,
yep
but to like master it is going to take some skill. Um,
yeah
and I think it's kind of sounds like that's what the goal of there is that like, hey, you can get on here and play decent, whether or not you really understand it, but to like really hone in, you're gonna have some mastery needed. So I like that too.
I like the challenge of having that high ceiling to be different from the others. So I
Mm-hmm.
think it's something I'll be putting a lot of work into to see how good I can get it down.
Right.
But it's something I'm looking forward to quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Then let's see,
Um,
stats and itemization. Will take us through that.
sure. Um, Continuing to look at secondary stats, Mastery has already been nerfed once and will likely be nerfed again. Rip.
Rip.
Need to ensure secondaries aren't as valuable as main stat, but that nothing is a dead stat either. Expect more tuning. Okay. I'm not liking this so far. Itemization should matter for augmentation as much as it does for other classes. Should scale throughout the course of an tier and entire expansion. Yeah, that's just every class like
Yeah.
that. Miscellaneous. Additional talent tree changes are coming, including a class tree that addresses some survivability issues for all evokers. Don't expect a major shift though. Augmentation was created augmentation was created from an excitement for this new playstyle and not so much a reaction or challenge to the game 1, game 2 situation. Interested to see community reaction. I think since they announced it, there have been changes every week,
Mm-hmm.
which is good. Yeah, so they say community reaction, but it makes me think about, well, they have a lot of testing left to do. Is it really going to come out in a couple weeks? Or a month away, I should say, about a month.
Well,
Do
that's
you
the
think it
next
will?
part.
Do you think it still will? Oh, there it is. Never mind, I didn't see that. No release yet. No release date yet for patch 10.1.5 for actual time, but they're working hard to get it out soon. I don't. I know people are saying like mid-July. I don't think so.
So let me break this down real quick. So we started season 2 on the 9th of May. So that's week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5. We are currently on week 6. So I would say 7, 8, 9, 10. So I would say July 18th.
Okay.
That is my guess. Is that is their target date because that is the halfway point of the season. Because the
Right.
season's probably going to be 20 weeks long. So that
Yep.
would be the end of week 10 and the start of week 11. So I would say July 18th. That's my guess. Now it's possible, depending on. So I guess here's the question: is this? Are they planning on having a patch 10.1.7?
7. Yeah.
If they are, then maybe they try to get that 1.5 out on like the 4th or the 11th. Probably not the 4th because that being 4th of July. They're not going to want to roll out a patch on 4th of July night, so probably the 11th.
Yeah.
But if they're not doing a 0.7 patch, then you probably could see it maybe. I mean, they could go as far as a couple of weeks after that halfway point. But I'm gonna put my stake in that it's probably on gonna be July 18th. That's what I'm gonna say.
Okay.
Because that's the
That's
halfway point. That's the start of
kind
week
of
11.
kind of what I was thinking as well.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's a good interview. There's more stuff in there, so feel free to check out the full video
Yes, I still
of
gotta
it.
watch the full video.
Um, but yeah, that is just about it. So tell us a little bit about your week in WoW, Mr. Bioshock. What'd you do this past week?
I only done keys on my Evoker and my Druid so far. Oh, my Mage as well. But mainly it was just like, using the Catalyst, get some tier, so most of my characters have 2 set now at least, which is good. Just playing mostly my Evoker, very close to Keystone Master now.
Yep.
I think two dungeons away, one if I'm lucky. Yeah, it's just mythic farming to get KSM, and then probably focus on some alts eventually.
Yep. Yeah. Far as myself, I got KSM Monday morning when I got home from work because I left off 21 points away Sunday morning when we all finished running, and I was like, I got to go to work. I'm so close, and I really wanted my 4-piece set before the Catalyst came out. So
Right.
I got off work Monday morning, came home and did 2 dungeons real quick, and got my KSM, got my 4
Nice.
set, and the 4 set is really, really nice. Like I said earlier, it's got me about a 20k DPS increase,
Yep.
which has been impressive. I like it a lot. But yep, got some open up all my vaults and everything. We did a lot of LFR last week, and so I had a lot of tunes with stuff on it. But I'm really enjoying the Guardian Druid. I'm probably liking the Guardian Druid better than Paladin.
Right.
Prop Pally's nice for all the interrupts and stuff, but I hate all the extra utility, all the blessings and everything. I don't know. I'm really bad at like I will go the entire dungeon without using Blessing of Sacrifice a single time, and that's something I feel like you're supposed to use almost on cooldown to help people. I don't know. I'm not good with that kind of stuff on it.
Yeah.
But another thing I did was try out some resto healing on the druid.
Sure.
I do like that.
Yep.
I want to do some more of that. I'm just a little scared to try to heal hierarchies. But I just need some practice on it, I think. Maybe we'll work on that tonight after we get your KSM.
Yeah. I would like to get some keys in on my warrior or something.
There you go. Yeah, we could do practice some healing. Maybe you could practice some Guardian Druid.
You?
But no, you could practice some Guardian Druid and I could heal you. That'd be interesting. A noob tank with a noob healer. Let's see how that goes. Plus 15s, let's do it.
Let's do it. Time 20s, let's go.
Right? But no, I think speaking of timing 20s, that's something I think we'll be doing here within a few weeks, because I know you should get your 4 set tonight. I think Lynch should have his 4 set this week as well. I've got my 4 set, and I think after that we're gonna be pumping those higher keys this weekend.
Yep.
So definitely looking forward to that. I know you mentioned your parents want to do some LFR, so at some point tonight we can definitely knock that out.
Well, they work tomorrow, so
not tonight. I meant this week, not tonight. Sometime this week we can knock LFR out with them.
Yeah.
And have a good old time. But that's pretty much my week in WoW.
Okay.
So you got anything else you want to talk about, or?
Nope.
No. All right. Well, you can always check us out at our socials. You can catch me on Twitch at twitch.tv/buckblind. Also at Kick, which is kick.com/buckblind. YouTube, Buckblind the Demon Hunter, and Twitter at BuckblindDH. Bio, what are yours?
QQ_Bioshock for both Twitch and YouTube.
And I just want to point out before we let off here, you haven't frozen.
I was actually thinking that too.
Yeah, no freezing yet. We've had issues for like the last 6-7 podcasts where every time we go to record
Yeah.
it, 10 minutes into the podcast, his computer just freezes. Or
Well, the thing is, only
it's
Discord
just
freezes.
Discord. So I don't know.
Like, and like the thing is, I can't cancel out and reopen it. Like it just doesn't work. The only way I can get it to work is if I restart it.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they finally did an
Yes.
update that fixed that issue or something.
Maybe so.
But anyway, I think that is going to do it for all of us.
Yep.
If you want to, if you feel like it, throw some input on anything, comment on anything, give us some comments, like, subscribe, whatever. If you have any questions or anything you want to ask questions on, and any content you want us to cover in the future, throw it in the comments, and we'll see what we can do.
Yep.
But that is going to do it for now. So hope you all have a great week, and we will see you on episode 24.
Bye bye.